Hey guys, Dr.D here, bringing you episode 9 of Dr.D's DDR Tips and Tricks, DDR for Dummies series. And this is going to be a quick one. I just wanted to talk about today's topic, which is going to be about mental blocks. So we're going to start off by talking about what is a mental block, and then we're going to talk about how you can come over it. A mental block is just like it sounds. It's when you are mentally limited from doing something and it's not physically related. So, for example, if you can say do eighth note jumps at 160 BPM, but there's a particular eighth note jump pattern that every time you get to it, you just get misses, or you always get greats, or you always step awkwardly. That's what we would call a mental block, because how you are, and how should I say, how you are entering the pattern, you are not blocked by your physical capabilities, but rather your mental uh, interpretation of what's coming. So, a mental block is just something in a song that every time you get there, it's always going to cause you trouble. And it's not because you physically can't do it, but because mentally you can't comprehend it in that moment. I used to have a lot of mental blocks in certain songs back in DDR Extreme, back when I was just starting to get good, and whenever I played harder songs, I always had mental blocks in certain parts. Like for example, the Legend of Max. Right before the free slowdown, it gets pretty complicated with like a down left jump into just a lot of step jumps in that BPM of 333. And though if it were an ITG chart and there was different arrows, I could always nail those. But for whatever reason, whenever I played on DDR Extreme, I could never nail it. So in the end, I ended up PFCing Legend of Max back on Extreme. But how was I able to overcome my mental block? There's a few ways you can do it. Sometimes a mental block can just be overcome by seeing it differently. And there's two ways to do that. The first way is through speed. Try varying the speed that you read it at. Now, in some cases, especially if it's a boss song or a fast song, you might not have a lot of wiggle room here because even changing it as much as 0.25 is going to drastically change how you're going to view it. But lower BPMs are usually a little more kind about doing this. So to go back to an example, say like my AM3P challenge, X special, maybe if you bump up the speed a little bit, you'd be able to see it a little more clearly. They're more spaced apart, and when you read that part, it's going to look a little bit different than what you're used to, and that could in fact help you overcome the mental part. Let's try the mental block. So the first way is through speed. Try either increasing or decreasing the speed and see what the results may be. The other way is turn mods. And I don't think in 2018 it's controversial anymore, but turn mods are a completely viable option. And that's actually how I ended up getting Legend of Max PFC my first time. I had to use a turn mod. I put it on mirror. So there's a lot of parts on there that I had mental blocks at, but when I threw it on mirror, it was a completely different interpretation of the chart. Now, of course, mirror just means that all the notes are going to be reversed. So if from that left down jump into the down eighth note, well, it wasn't an eighth note because technically it's an eighth note at 166.5 or whatever, but you know what I mean. Um, yeah, I was able to look at it as an upright. And for me, personally, that made it a lot better. Now, if you're a purist and you think that you must do it on the default thing, well, you should still experiment with mirror. Because I find that whenever you play a song differently for a while, when you go back to the original, it feels like you were playing mirror. So, sorry. By the way, I've been sick recently, which is well, one reason why you haven't been getting episodes. Alright, I think I'm good. So, like I was saying, whenever you throw it on a chart on mirror for the first time and then you play it, it's going to feel a little bit, maybe not easier at first, but some parts are going to, it's not muscle memory you're using anymore. See, when you get used to playing a song and you expect it to be a certain way, your muscles are already attuned to doing it that way. And why do mental blocks even happen? That's a great question, and this is the exact reason why. When you start doing a pattern incorrectly, and then you keep playing it, you will always do that pattern incorrectly because of muscle memory. If you start off doing it wrong, you're going to develop a bad habit that's going to make you always do it wrong. These are how mental blocks are developed. Whenever you start playing a song incorrectly, and then your body remembers, like, oh yeah, I step like this at that part, even though that's not how you're supposed to step, you're going to develop a mental block. And when you throw it on mirror, if it's not in a boss song, you can even experiment with right, left, or shuffle. But I mean, come on, we're not going to throw Max Unlimited on shuffle here. Come on. But yeah, definitely that's how they're created. And the best way to overcome it is to look at it a different way, either through speed options or through turn mods. Because when you look at it on a turn mod, you're going to be able to reassess the situation. And hopefully you're not going to develop a mental block when you throw it on mirror or whatever turn mod you're going to use. And when you do this, you're going to find that if you use this for a while, one, you might just get really good at the new step chart, and you might actually prefer doing that. There's plenty of songs I do prefer playing on mirror even to this day. And you might end up enjoying that. And if you're worried about, like, oh, should I do this? Is it legitimate? All the pro players do it. All the best players in Japan, they get a lot of their scores on mirror. Even like Chris uses a lot of turn mods for some of his charts. I do as well. There's basically there's no taboo against using turn mods, because at the end of the day, and this is going to be like this is a debate kind of format, but I'm not going to get too far into it. But at the end of the day, the reason why it's considered pretty much fair is because you have the same option to use it as anyone else. If anyone else says that, oh, you're using mirror, that's making it easier, just tell them, okay, you can use it too then. So it's a mute point. So play the mental block song on a turn mod. See if you can overcome it on that turn. If not, play it for a while and then change back to the original. And you might be surprised. After unlearning the original for so long, when you go back, you might feel like you're doing it for a turn mod for the first time. Alright, before I cough up along, we're going to end this one. So use those tips, and hopefully you're going to be able to overcome you're going to be able to overcome mental blocks. And hopefully now that you know about what creates them a little bit more, in the future you can learn how to prevent making them. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you all soon, and have a nice day. Bye.